The Galactic Assembly Hall was packed with representatives from hundreds of spacefaring species. The massive chamber buzzed with whispers, tension thick in the air. At the center of the hall, a hologram flickered to life, displaying grainy images of Earth's warships. They didn't look like warships at all. The vessels were large, bulky, and unassuming, more like cargo freighters than military ships. There were no visible heavy weapons, no intimidating armor, no energy shields strong enough to withstand an attack. To the galactic community, it made no sense. The humans claimed to be a powerful race, scoffed High Minister Vork of the Krell Dominion, a reptilian species known for their brutal conquests. Yet these are their warships. This is a joke. The council murmured in agreement. The Krell had been at war for centuries, and their warships were designed for dominance. Sleek, heavily armed, nearly indestructible. Every empire in the assembly had similar warships, built to intimidate and destroy. But Earth's ships, they looked weak. Admiral Zarek, a hardened military leader from the ruthless Zorhath Empire, narrowed his glowing yellow eyes. He gestured toward the hologram. "Explain this, human representative. Why does Earth send these?" He paused, choosing his words carefully. "Merchant ships into battle." At the center of the assembly, standing tall despite the pressure, was Captain Elias Carter of the United Earth Fleet. Unlike the other species, he was calm. He didn't flinch under their mocking gazes. Instead, he smiled, just a little. "You're looking at Earth's most dangerous warships," Captain Carter said. The room exploded with laughter. The idea was ridiculous. A representative from the Velnari Confederacy, a feline-like species, flicked their tail in amusement. "You expect us to believe that? That these containers are capable of fighting against real warships?" The laughter continued, but Admiral Zarek didn't laugh. He stared at Carter, sensing something was off. The humans were known for being unpredictable, but this felt like a bluff, or was it? The Assembly's supreme leader, an ancient being of the Wire race, raised a hand, and silence fell. "Captain Carter, if these are truly warships, prove it." Carter's smile widened slightly. He reached into his uniform and pressed a small device on his wrist. Instantly, the hologram changed. The images flickered, transforming from static images to real-time footage. The assembly watched as one of Earth's cargo ships approached a Krell battle fleet. The Krell ships fired first, energy blasts screaming through space, only to pass right through the human ship, as if it weren't there. "What?" Vork's eyes widened. Then, without warning, the cargo ship retaliated. It fired a single pulse from a hidden cannon, an unregistered energy signature. The Krell warship, a massive dreadnought, disintegrated in seconds. The room fell into dead silence. Captain Carter crossed his arms. "Now, do you still think our warships are weak?" The Galactic Assembly had no words. But one thing was clear: Earth was hiding something terrifying, and the universe had just begun to realize it. The silence in the Galactic Assembly Hall was heavy. No one spoke. No one moved. The footage of Earth's cargo ship destroying a Krell dreadnought replayed in the hologram, over and over. A single shot, one pulse of unknown energy, had wiped out a warship designed to withstand entire planetary sieges. High Minister Vork's claws dug into the armrest of his seat. His scales darkened with anger. This is a trick," he hissed. "No technology can bypass shields like that. No single weapon can destroy a Krell battleship in one shot." Captain Elias Carter remained calm. "And yet you saw it happen." Admiral Zarek leaned forward, his yellow eyes locked on the human. "Explain." "Now." Carter tilted his head slightly, as if considering his words carefully. "You assume warships must look powerful, that they must be covered in heavy armor, armed with hundreds of cannons, built to intimidate. That is your mistake." He gestured to the hologram. "Earth doesn't design warships like you do. We don't build for intimidation. A representative from the Velnari Confederacy flicked their feline tail, eyes narrowing. Then what do you build for? Carter's expression darkened. Victory. The single word sent a chill through the room. The supreme leader of the assembly, the ancient Ur, studied Carter with quiet interest. You say your ships are built for victory, yet they look like, well, ordinary freighters. Why? Carter smiled slightly. Because deception is our greatest weapon. He turned back to the hologram and tapped his wrist device again. The display shifted, showing Earth's shipyards, hundreds of identical cargo ships lined up, ready to launch. They were unmarked, their hulls scratched and dull, completely unremarkable. But now, the assembly understood. These weren't cargo ships. They were something else entirely. Our ships don't carry obvious weapons because obvious weapons can be countered, Carter continued. They don't have visible defenses because defenses can be bypassed. They don't show their true nature until it's too late. Admiral Zarek's claws tightened into a fist. Clever. But that doesn't explain the energy weapon that destroyed the Krell dreadnought. What kind of technology was that? Carter exhaled slowly. Something your scientists don't understand yet. The assembly murmured. This was dangerous. Technology unknown to the galactic community. A weapon capable of ignoring shields and vaporizing entire warships. It changed everything. High Minister Vorik slammed a fist against the table. This is a threat. The humans have deceived us all. How many of these disguised warships do you have? Carter's smile didn't fade. Enough. The single word sent a ripple of unease through the room. For the first time, the galactic powers realized the terrifying truth. Earth wasn't weak. It had never been weak. And if humanity had been hiding this technology for so long, what else were they hiding? The assembly hall, once filled with mockery and laughter, now felt like a tomb. The representatives of the galaxy's greatest empire sat frozen, their minds racing with the terrifying implications of Earth's deception. Admiral Zarek's voice was the first to break the silence. You expect us to believe that your ships have been hiding this kind of firepower for decades, that you could destroy any fleet in the galaxy at will. Captain Elias Carter remained still, his expression unreadable. If we wanted to, Admiral, would we be having this conversation? Zarek flinched. The message was clear. Earth didn't seek war. If it had, the battlefields would already be burning. High Minister Vorik, still seething from the destruction of a Krell dreadnought, bared his sharp teeth. This is unacceptable. The Krell Dominion will not stand by while humans keep weapons like this in secret. The balance of power must be maintained. Carter raised an eyebrow. Balance? He leaned forward slightly. You mean the kind of balance where the Krell conquer weaker species, the kind where the strong dictate terms while the rest live in fear. Vorik's face twisted with rage. We have earned our place as the strongest. And yet, Carter said, one of your finest warships was erased in seconds by what you thought was a transport vessel. Vorik's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. The truth was undeniable. The supreme leader of the assembly, the ancient Ur, spoke again, his voice calm but firm. Captain Carter, what exactly are you saying? Is Earth challenging the Galactic Assembly? Carter shook his head. No, Earth has no desire to rule. We are not conquerors. We are not tyrants. He paused, letting his words settle. But we also will not be prey. The room was silent once more. Every empire in the assembly had once looked at humanity as an upstart species, useful, perhaps, but never a true power. Now, that illusion had shattered. The Velnari representative, their feline eyes narrowing, finally spoke. If Earth does not seek war, why keep these weapons hidden? Why not reveal your true strength earlier? Carter exhaled slowly. Because we know how this galaxy works. We know what happens when the strong see the weak as easy targets. His gaze swept across the assembly. Humanity has watched. We have studied. We have learned. His expression darkened. And we have been preparing. A chill ran through the hall. No one dared speak. For the first time in history, the galaxy was afraid of Earth. The silence in the assembly hall felt heavier than before. The realization had settled in. Earth was not weak. It had never been weak. It had simply allowed the galaxy to believe a lie. Admiral Zarek clenched his fists. His empire had fought wars for centuries, crushing countless civilizations under its rule. Yet now, sitting across from a calm human captain, he felt something he hadn't felt in decades. Doubt. Enough riddles, Carter, Zarek growled. You say humanity has been preparing. Preparing for what? Carter's expression didn't change. For the moment when someone thought they could strike Earth and win. The words sent a cold wave through the room. The Velnari representative flicked their tail, their ears twitching. Are you saying Earth expected an attack? Carter's eyes darkened. Of course. That's how things work in this galaxy, isn't it? The weak are devoured by the strong. His gaze locked onto High Minister Vorik. The Krell have made it their way of life. Vorik slammed his fist against the table. We take what we deserve. That is the law of power. And that, Carter said quietly, is why Earth never revealed its true strength. The assembly members shifted uncomfortably. Every empire had, at some point, considered Earth as a potential conquest. They had studied its ships, its defenses, its people, but none had dared to attack. Not because Earth was strong, but because it was seen as insignificant. But now, Earth was terrifying. The supreme leader of the assembly, the ancient Ur, spoke once more. Captain Carter, are you issuing a threat? Carter shook his head. A warning. He leaned forward slightly. Humanity doesn't start wars. We don't conquer. We don't seek power over others. But if war comes to us, we will end it. The words were spoken in a calm, steady tone, but everyone in the room understood the message. Admiral Zarek narrowed his eyes. You expect the galaxy to just accept this, to let humanity keep its secrets while the rest of us wonder if those cargo ships are actually weapons waiting to be unleashed. Carter gave a small, knowing smile. That's up to you. For the first time in centuries, the strongest empires in the galaxy realized something terrifying. Earth had been playing by their rules. And now, they had to decide if they were willing to take the risk of finding out what else humanity had been hiding. High Minister Vorik of the Krell Dominion sat rigid, his claws digging into the table. His pride burned hotter than his rage. The Krell were feared across the stars, their war fleets unmatched, until now. Until this human captain had exposed their weakness with a single hidden weapon. He would not stand for it. This is unacceptable, Vorik growled. The Krell Dominion will not be intimidated by a lesser species. Captain Carter remained calm. No one is trying to intimidate you, Minister. We're simply making things clear. Vorik's scales darkened. Then allow me to make something clear, human. His voice dripped with venom. Earth's tricks mean nothing to the Dominion. We do not fear your hidden weapons. We do not fear you. Carter exhaled slowly. That's your mistake. The assembly murmured as Vorik rose to his feet, his massive form towering over the table. The Krell do not waste words. We act. If Earth truly believes it is untouchable, then I see no reason to delay the inevitable. Carter narrowed his eyes. What are you saying? Vorik sneered. I am saying that even as we speak, a Krell war fleet moves toward Earth. We will see how your cargo ships fare against a true invasion force. The assembly erupted into chaos. You fool. The Velnari representative hissed. You would start a war without understanding the full power of Earth. Vorik bared his fangs. War has already begun. The humans have challenged us. We will crush them. Carter's face darkened. The room felt colder. You don't know what you've just done. Vorik laughed, sharp and cruel. Oh, I do. I have just ensured the end of your pathetic illusion of power. The supreme leader of the assembly raised a hand for silence. His deep, ancient voice filled the room. High Minister Vorik, I strongly advise you to reconsider. If Earth's warships are as powerful as they claim, they are not. Vorik snapped. They are tricks, deceptions. The Krell Dominion fears nothing. Carter looked at him for a long moment. Then he pressed his wrist device. The hologram flickered, switching from the assembly chamber to a live feed of space near Earth. The Krell fleet had arrived. Massive, armored warships hovered in formation, their cannons glowing with deadly energy. Hundreds of them, enough to wipe out entire civilizations. Carter's voice was quiet, but firm. Watch closely, assembly. This is why Earth never built defenses. The Krell ships opened fire. The first barrage streaked toward Earth's cargo ships, cutting through space at impossible speeds. But before impact, something strange happened. The energy blasts vanished, as if swallowed by the void. Vorik's smirk faded. Then, the counterattack began. Earth's warships, disguised as harmless freighters, came to life. Hidden weapon systems emerged from their hulls. Strange energy signatures flared. And then, one by one, the Krell warships started disappearing. Not exploding, not breaking apart, vanishing. Vorik's eyes widened in horror. What is this? Carter's gaze was cold. This is your lesson. The Krell fleet, the strongest armada in the Dominion, was gone in less than a minute. The Galactic Assembly Hall was deathly silent. Every representative, every ruler, every warlord watched in stunned horror as the Krell fleet, one of the most feared armadas in the galaxy, vanished before their eyes. It wasn't destruction. There was no debris, no wreckage. The warships simply ceased to exist. High Minister Vorik stood frozen, his scales pale. His mighty fleet, hundreds of warships, each one capable of annihilating entire planets, was gone, wiped from existence in less than a minute. Admiral Zarek's claws dug into the table as he leaned forward. What is this weapon? His voice, normally filled with authority, now held something unusual. Fear. Captain Elias Carter remained calm. You call them weapons. We call them solutions. The supreme leader of the assembly, his ancient eyes locked onto Carter, finally spoke. Where did the Krell fleet go? Carter's expression didn't change. They were removed. Vorik slammed a fist against the table, his voice shaking with rage and desperation. Removed. To where? Are they dead? Carter tilted his head slightly. Not dead. Just somewhere else. A place they can't return from. The assembly chamber erupted in chaos. Impossible. This technology. No species has ever wielded such power. If Earth can do this to the Krell, they can do it to any of us. The realization hit them all at once. The humans weren't just strong. They weren't just hiding advanced weapons. They had the power to erase entire armadas. The Velnari representative, her feline ears flat against her skull, whispered the words no one else dared to say. Earth is the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Carter finally spoke again, his voice calm but firm. We never wanted this. We never wanted war. That's why we kept our strength hidden. But the Krell forced our hand. His gaze turned back to Vorik, who now looked less like a powerful warlord and more like a defeated, broken being. You wanted to test us. Now you have your answer. Vorik's claws trembled. The Krell Dominion had ruled through strength for centuries. They had crushed planets, enslaved species, burned civilizations to the ground. And now they were nothing. Carter exhaled slowly. Let this be the last time anyone mistakes Earth's kindness for weakness. The Supreme Leader's voice cut through the silence. Captain Carter, what do you propose? Carter looked around the room, at the leaders of empires who had once seen Earth as prey. A new understanding, he said, one where Earth is left alone. No one argued, no one objected, because now they all knew the truth. Earth had never needed defenses, because no force in the universe could stand against them. The Galactic Assembly Hall remained silent, The leaders of the galaxy, once so sure of their power, now sat frozen in fear. The Krell Dominion, the most feared empire in the stars, had been humiliated, its mighty war fleet erased as if it had never existed. And Earth had done it without breaking a sweat. Captain Elias Carter let the silence drag on, his calm gaze sweeping across the chamber. He wanted them to feel this moment, to understand what had just happened. It was the Velnari representative who finally spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "What happens now?" Carter leaned forward slightly. "That depends on you." High Minister Vorik was a broken being. The fury had drained from his face, replaced by something unthinkable for a Krell warlord. Fear. His claws trembled against the table as he spoke. "The Krell. We surrender." Gasps rippled through the chamber. The Krell Dominion had never surrendered, not once in its long, bloody history, and yet here was their highest leader, admitting defeat. Carter gave a slow nod. "Good." He turned to the rest of the assembly. "And the rest of you." The supreme leader, his ancient eyes filled with quiet understanding, spoke at last. "No one will move against Earth." Murmurs of agreement filled the hall. Even those who had once seen Earth as a potential conquest now understood the truth. To challenge humanity was to invite annihilation. Carter tapped his wrist device, and the hologram changed again. It showed Earth, its blue oceans, its green lands, its massive shipyards filled with what now were clearly warships disguised as freighters. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. "You all believed Earth was weak," Carter said. "That we were just another species to manipulate, conquer, or control." His voice hardened. "You were wrong." He let the weight of his words settle before continuing. "We are not your enemies. We do not seek war. We never have." His eyes locked onto each representative. "But if you bring war to our doorstep, we will end it." No one dared argue. Carter exhaled slowly. "So here's how things are going to work from now on." He gestured at the chamber. "Earth will not be threatened. Earth will not be challenged. We will trade. We will cooperate. We will exist as equals." His expression darkened. "But if anyone ever dares to test us again, you will see what our real warships can do." Vorik swallowed hard but said nothing. The Supreme Leader nodded solemnly. "It is decided. The Galactic Assembly will recognize Earth as a power equal to any other." He met Carter's gaze. "And we will remember this lesson." Carter stood. "Then our work here is done." With that, he turned and walked toward the exit, leaving behind a room filled with rulers who had once seen humanity as prey, now realizing they had been standing next to the galaxy's apex predator all along. And Earth. Earth had never needed defenses, because the entire universe now knew some wars weren't worth starting.